Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Indie Interactive, where we talk about making great music, connecting with your audience, and growing your business. Again, this is Indie Interactive. My name is Bree Noble, and today I am talking to Michelle Lockie all about how you can make money with music licensing, how she does it, maybe some mistakes that she can share with you that she made along the way so you guys can avoid them, and then how to write music that really works well for music licensing and that will appeal to music supervisors and people that are searching for music for licensing. So I'm excited to be with you guys today. Let me know that you're here. I know many of you are really excited about this topic. And obviously we can't go into everything today on this short episode of Indie Interactive. So before we even get into it, I want to invite you to a workshop that I'm doing with Michelle, or that she's doing for my community, next week on Thursday the 14th. We have two times. We're doing it at this very same time, but on Thursday. So Thursday the 14th at noon Eastern. And we're also doing it at 8 Eastern, so that's 9 a.m. and 5 p.m. Pacific. So if you want to join us for that workshop, I highly recommend it. It's pretty much the most popular workshop that I do with my community, with bringing somebody else in throughout the entire year. So you can go to femmusician.com/music licensing to register for that workshop, and we'll send you reminders and make sure you don't forget to come. I know it's a little over a week from now, but I think so many people are going to want to go to this that I wanted to make sure to get the word out early. So that's femmusician.com/music licensing, F as in female, E as in entrepreneur, musician.com/music licensing. So I'm going to turn it over to Michelle. I'm going to ask her just a few questions. If you guys have any questions for her about music licensing, then you can pop those into the chat. I'll be looking through the chat and see if there's any questions for her as we go along and if they relate to what we're talking about. But I just want to ask you, Michelle, first of all, introduce yourself, give them a little bit of information about you and your experience as a singer-songwriter, and then why you decided to start doing music licensing, what got you excited about that, and when did that happen, and all kind of that little story.
Sure. Yeah, I've always, like all of us, have always wanted to do music, growing up. And I don't know, it was just something I didn't think that I could do as a career. So I was a biologist in biotech and in the corporate world for quite a long time. And what was I going to say? Sorry. And then I went to a taxi meeting. I think it was around, was it 2009? And probably a few years before that, I started doing choir and I started getting more comfortable with my vocals. I learned ukulele, guitar, whatnot. So I was starting to write some songs from the artist's kind of perspective and came out with an album. And then I went to Taxi in 2008 and 9, and I was still kind of focusing on the artist thing, and I was writing country music. And then I think at the 2010 Taxi Rally, I started learning a bit more about film and TV and music placement for film and TV. And it just kind of opened up this whole new world. Like, I didn't even know that was a thing and you can make money on it. And since I wasn't really a performing artist and wasn't 100% marketing myself in that way, this kind of seemed like it would be a viable market for my music. So that's why I decided to kind of go into that. And I guess so 2011 was when I really started pursuing that a lot strongly.
That's awesome. So you've been doing that for 6 years. Wow. So what are some of the placements that you've gotten along the way? Like, kind of, where'd you get your foot in the door, and what placements have you gotten in the last 6 years that have been really awesome and exciting?
So I first started getting my foot in the door by getting forwards through Taxi. And what a forward means is they send your music on to the publisher or the supervisor. And so from there, I started getting some songs signed. I started working with some people too that I met at Taxi that already had placements. They were already getting deals. So that helped a lot too. And ended up getting songs signed to some pretty good music publishers. And so from that, I got the placements that I remember my very first kind of placement. I mean, I got little ones along the way, but then my first what I considered big one was in ABC Families, the Fosters, and we were like all my friends, we were kind of online or whatever watching it, and it was in the opening scene, but they ended up using the instrumental, not the vocal, which is fine. Still got money for it and everything, but you kind of want to hear your voice when you're a singer. So it's like, okay, next time. And then since then, the next biggest one was in Rain, in the opening section of the show Rain. I was a full vocal placement for over a minute, which is really cool. So that one I was really excited about. And then the show Good Girls Revolt. Yes, that was on Amazon.
I have not heard of that show.
Really? It's on Amazon Prime, and it's about the women's movement in the 60s.
Oh, of course. So, okay.
At first you're like, Good Girls Revolt. Is that a reality show? But it was a really good show. And they used one of my entire songs called A Million Moons. And so it was a vocal placement. It was like 3 minutes and 15 seconds. And that was really, really awesome. And then, so I've gotten various vocal placements along the way here and there, a lot more instrumental placements. And then the big one this past summer was on the Young Sheldon First Look trailer. So it's a spinoff of Big Bang Theory. And ours was kind of the very last song at the end of the trailer, which was really cool. It was a song called Your Footprints. So that was awesome. Yeah. So there's been a lot along the way.
That's really cool. I hadn't even heard about that one. I have to say, this is funny. So, people are saying hi in the chat. Thank you guys so much. And Laura said that we look like twins. I'm curious how she thinks we look like twins.
The glasses.
I mean, I guess we've got the glasses and the hair.
This is my beach hair. So I'm at the beach.
Beach hair. Oh, that's right. You are at the beach. I have no excuse. This is always my hair.
It works.
Awesome. So let me ask you, do you think that music licensing is a good option for people who maybe can't tour for some reason? I come into contact with a lot of artists that they love music, but for different reasons they can't tour. They have a family, they have young kids. That's certainly what happened to me. They have health issues, they have a full-time job, or maybe they just don't want to tour. Is this a good income stream opportunity for them?
It definitely is, if you go about it the right way. There's so many various things you can do. Like some people who do want to focus on being an artist can sign with a licensing agent. And what that means is they kind of sign you and they pitch your music and you can continue to be an artist. Now, if you, like you said, you don't want to tour, you don't want to focus on that as much, then there are millions and millions of opportunities to get your music licensed, either vocals or instrumentals. And it's just a matter of learning how to write appropriately for those shows, for film and TV, and to build your catalog and to keep pitching. So it takes some time, like any business, but it's definitely a viable option.
That's cool. So I'd love to know in the chat from you guys, how many of you have tried venturing into the world of music licensing at all? Even if you've just sent off 1 or 2 taxi submissions, if you applied to something on Music X-Ray, if you've even just tried researching music supervisors, or watched your favorite shows and then kind of written down things about the songs and to figure out if your music might fit or you might be able to write for something like that. I'd love to know in the chat if you've ventured even that much into the world of music licensing. Just put yes in the chat if you have. I want to get a kind of an idea. Some of you, I think maybe I know have a little bit on music thing, but some of you haven't. So I'd love to get an idea. Now, find out, Michelle, what are some of the mistakes you made along the way? Because I know that you were pretty green. You were learning about music licensing from the beginning. It was like a whole new world opened up to you. What mistakes did you make? What mistakes did you see other people making and that you still see people making today that you want to warn off our people about?
Well, for one, just making music and throwing it out and pitching it at all kinds of places without proper targeting. So thinking that your song is like the greatest thing ever, and you're just going to send it out to all these opportunities, and maybe it doesn't really fit. So making sure the music fits the opportunity is key. The other thing is to make sure that you understand how to network appropriately and how to address publishers and music supervisors. Don't go to a conference with like some just demos and be like, hey, this is kind of an idea of what I do. It's not really my best stuff, or it's not a finished recording, or it's not this. They don't always have time to sit there and listen to something that's not finished and ready to go. So always look professional and have a professional CD or a compilation of what you do, but it's got to be finished material and good material. And then understand the business side. I mean, that can be a deal breaker to some people. If you show up at a conference and you have no idea really what one stop or easy clear means, or you don't understand what the publishing versus the writer side is, you're not registered with the PRO. I mean, these are all things I've kind of learned over the years, and I've kind of made mistakes on all ends until I learn things. And some people are nice enough to be like, Michelle, you need to do this, not that. And so those are kind of my big three.
This is why I bring you into my community, because I don't know what those terms that you just mentioned mean. And, I haven't really done much licensing. So thank goodness that you're here to explain these things to my community, because that's definitely not my forte. I just wanted to call out in the chat, morning, Al. Lisa said that she's thought about doing music licensing, but hasn't really done anything yet. But she did, let's see. Oh, Denise says that she's done it through Music X-Ray, Broad Jam, Hit License. I'm curious, Denise, have you gotten any placements yet? I know you got a lot of great songs that you could be pitching. Let's see. Laura says I've submitted to all of them. And I wanted to mention too, like I had that same experience when I was a young artist, that I just thought my songs were the best ever, and everybody would want them and everybody would love them. And why wouldn't they? And I wasn't thinking about, it has to be a good fit for whoever is looking for a song, their scene. It doesn't really, yeah. And plus, I think we're not egotistical, but when we write a song, we're in love with it, right? And we think everybody else will be too. So we need to kind of, do you have places that you go to get outside opinions, so you're not in that mode of like, my song's the best thing ever, I'm going to spend $300 pitching it to everywhere on the planet, and then just turn out throwing it all away,
Well, I would get, Taxi gives a lot of good feedback. They also have a free forum, and that's where and they have a peer-to-peer section, and I would start posting music there. You can comment on each other's, music and lyrics, and do you think this is a fit? What does this sound like? Are these lyrics universal? So there was a lot of feedback there. And then also feedback when I didn't get something sent through, they call it return, either through Taxi or other places. What was nice is that they actually will give you some feedback on why it wasn't sent along. And feedback is good if you can listen to it, understand it, and do something instead of just be like, oh, that's ridiculous, and then not, which I've done before, and not do anything to change the song, or the next time you write, to take that feedback and put it into your next piece of music. So yeah, you can also pay for custom critiques at various places. I've done that before, through Taxi and through some other like Nashville writers and different people. And I've met with people at conferences just to get feedback. So that's always a very good thing to be doing. And as long as you listen to it.
Yeah, it's hard. Sometimes it's hard to like read that feedback and be able to take it in, I think. Yeah. I think the first few times I sent stuff to Taxi, I couldn't bear to read it. And then I finally I went to a conference, I think it was maybe the Taxi Road Rally, and I was listening to somebody, and they're like, you're going to get nowhere if you don't take the feedback that people give you and actually spend the time to change your song. And so I finally started reading it. like, I could take this. Okay, brace myself, and it was never as bad as I thought it was going to be. They were always encouraging, but they were very specific about the issues with your song, which is really helpful.
Yeah, I agree.
So Sarah said that she took your course last year and that she is getting really excited about the new course this year and the going to the Taxi Road Rally, and she's been writing a lot. So that's awesome. Denise said that she has gotten some considerations, but not yet any placements. So I just want to encourage you, Denise. I mean, I know your music. It's well produced. It's well performed. It's well written. Like, you'll get there. I really think you will. So let's see. What else did I want to ask you, Michelle? Because there's so much that we could cover, but we have such a short time. Obviously, that's why we're having our workshop.
Yeah, and I was going to say, you've got some qualities that people like who are successful at this. I think that's a big one. So one thing is, we talked about critiques, right? Well, first, so here's the things you need to do. You need to learn how to write things appropriately. That's what everybody does. Everybody does research on shows and film and commercials and really listen to the types of music that's there. And start to pick up on, what instrumentation are they using and what's the style, and see if you can find stuff that matches your style, and then start keeping a track record, like a record of those shows, because you can find out who the supervisors are for those shows and that kind of thing. The other thing is going to conferences and networking. That's, the treat. But I would say that you need to go to those conferences a bit prepared, so it's not taking you so long to kind of get to where you want to go. I mean, that's one reason why I do these workshops and stuff now, because it took me a long time to learn all this stuff. And so I try to, decrease people's learning, or increase, you know what I'm saying? Anyway.
Yes, increase the learning curve. Yeah,
the other
something
thing
like that
is to be really focused. I mean, you have to build a catalog here. So you have to build a catalog of music, you have to pitch it, and then not be so obsessed every time you send something in somewhere. Like, why aren't they calling me back? Why aren't they giving me feedback? And then emailing or trying to contact people over and over again, because that's really annoying. Not being spread too thin. If your aim is to write music for sync mostly, then you really need to focus on that and start to eliminate other things that are not taking you in that direction.
Ooh, that's a good one. You guys know I'm big on goals and focusing and not having a million things. And yeah, if music license, in fact, I have one of my private students that I'm working with who one of her goals is to do this. She took Michelle's course, and we talk every month about, like, this needs to be your major goal. You can have, one performing goal and one other goal, but mostly you need to have your other 3 goals focused around this if you really want to make progress. And that is so true.
Yeah, you really have to be focused and not all over the place, and bucket your time for social media. It's like so many people are in so many different groups. I'm like, when are you having time to write anything and to do research? And not that I'm saying, I use it a lot because I have to for business and for other stuff too. But bucketing your time, writing every week to a common theme, and then constantly pitching and then doing it over and over again. So.
Yeah, and I think another big thing that I've seen with people that have been doing this and getting a lot of forwards and even placements is that they're co-writing a lot. So it kind of spreads your network web when you co-write, plus it also gets you into maybe new genres and brings in some new ideas that you can't come with on your own. And I know Michelle's talked about co-writing with people that could help her produce the songs too.
Yeah.
Find the people that do what you can't do.
Just make sure that you are all on the same page when it comes to how you're going to split the song money. So the people that I work with, they're usually contributing to the song as a writer and a producer. Usually there's some level of participation there. So I usually do equal splits. But other people are like, well, this producer didn't write this song, so you could do it as a work for hire. You could hire that person and get the contracts spelled out. Amongst co-writers, for me, it's always equal. Some people, might want to, well, I did more work, so I'm going to do 70%. But imagine if you had like you did that with 100 different co-writers, and each one had a different percentage, and each producer got a different split, and it's a admin nightmare to keep track of all that stuff. So I like to keep things as equal as possible, and then, or do work for hire so that you own all the rights. Just know up front what you're going to do with your co-writers before you start writing, so that you don't run into problems after the song is finished.
Oh, such a good point. Have that all worked out beforehand.
Yeah. Otherwise, you could have some issues there.
Yep, for sure. Well, this has been really awesome. Obviously, we'd only touch on some of these subjects today, which is why we're having the workshop next week. I really want to encourage all of you to join us for the workshop, because there's going to be some really special things for those who show up. And of course, Michelle will be doing a Q&A at the end, and we pretty much answer any question that, unless the workshop. Music licensing, F as in female, E as an entrepreneur, musician.com/music licensing. I'll also put that in this post if it's not already there, in the main part of this post for those of you watching the replay. And we look forward to hanging out with you guys next week. It's Thursday morning and evening, so we can catch you guys on the other side of the world, and the people that are working full time and all that stuff. And any last words, Michelle, before we say goodbye and see them back next Thursday?
Just remember that, music is a business, and, some people look at licensing sometimes as selling out, but how is it selling out, I guess, when you're making money on a product? Music is a product. This is what we do. You can keep your artistry in there, but you have to remember this is a business, and you need to be well-rounded with that business. And then it just takes time to build up your sync catalog and get placements and make money.
That's such a good point. I can't tell you how many artists I've discovered by hearing them on a show and being like, what is this song? I love this. And then looking up the show and looking up the artist. And I know Michelle's actually gotten some artist money, people buying things on iTunes for songs that she's had on shows, and people have followed up on that song and found it and bought it.
Yep.
So there is the artist side too, and I don't think it's selling out. It's part of the way that we make money as indies nowadays. It's just one of those income streams that we can open up, and I'm all about lots of income streams. So,
yes.
So you guys join us next week, Thursday morning or evening, femmusician.com/music licensing, and we'll be sure to send you all the reminders and where to go to join us live. We'll be having, a chat, answering your questions and all that stuff. So see you then. And until then, be sure to continue making great music, connecting with your audience, and growing.